They need to go to the polls, yeah. As long as they're in the parking lot, ballot can be brought to them. It has to be them. Yeah, we definitely don't want to break any election laws, but we want to get as many people out as we can to vote. I'd like to know if anybody has any questions about what's going to be on the ballot, or if you have any questions directly of me. I mean, I know it's a friendly room, but people are always come to me with questions, even those that know.
I've heard people, and of course, Anthony does a great job of explaining propositions, but how many propositions are going to be on the ballot? Wow, that many? Your name and number. And I'll make sure it's on.
15, of which I want you to know, I didn't know there's 16. I didn't want this many propositions on the ballot. I fought very, very hard to not have this many propositions on the ballot. In fact, 5 or 6 were taken to the council, and I said it's one word. We don't want to put something on the ballot that's changing one word, because you're going to get mass chaos at the voting booth. They're going to look at it and go, I don't have time for that, or they're trying to pull something over our eyes, which is the case may be, but some people think that's what we're trying to do. Although I will tell you that most of these are to bring us within compliance of state law, do away with things that no longer matter to us. Fix one. We've had a full-time judge for how long? Years. Yeah, and no clerk. Our charter called for must have a clerk, may have a judge. So we reversed that so that our judge could be our clerk. 2 of them on here are to protect our fire department and police department from the political atmosphere that we have around us today. I don't want some future council to come in and say, we're done with you. We'll hire outside policemen, we'll contract the fire department, we'll use volunteer. So we did put that in. That's the only 2 new amendments to the charter. Everything else was to clean it up. It needs to be cleaned up. It hadn't been cleaned up, and there's been 3 other charter amendments in the last 30 years. So,
How should, if someone didn't want to go through every one and read them in meticulous detail, vote yes on all.
vote yes on all.
That's the answer I'm looking for. Vote yes on all. All right, thank you.
Every one of them updates us and brings us into compliance, except for the very last one. Yes, ma'am. Every one of them brings us into compliance or updates our charter, except for the very last one. Proposition P is on the part.
So what happens if they're voted down and that does not make us compliant?
You know, that's a very interesting question, because unfortunately, we've been out of compliance with some of the charter items for a while, so I won't say that it's the last thing. It's not going to take us down, but it would be nice to have our charter brought to date.
For that, our charter as it stands now has not given about time. Well, the state changed the law, taxes like
81. Can we talk about this stuff? We don't have a forum.
So the city doesn't have a appraiser, that whole amendment had to do with tax.
And
So, all we just said is that the appraiser district now, and that would be. That's what it is, so it's a no-brainer, really.
that's actually amendment number, proposition 12. And the funny thing is I know that people are here and that others would like for, my opponent would like for you to vote no on every single one because of one proposition. My opponent would like for you to vote no on every single one, knowing most people don't read them or understand them. This packet right here is available at City Hall for anybody that wants to come in and see it. My office and Bert's office is open every single day for anybody to come up and ask questions about it. But at the same time, my opponent has already made a statement. She wants to bring 3 new charter amendments to the council next year. So that's a kind of a little bit of an oxymoron there. You want everybody to vote no on this, and then you want to bring 3 more along. So I think you need to take the time to do your own investigation to see what's on the ballot.
And ask questions.
Ask lots of questions and get the right answers, not from people that are trying to stir up the community with a keyboard. Yes, ma'am.
If you're on Facebook, look up unbiased, Bowie, Texas citizen. I'm going through every single proposition. And I'm doing in-depth analysis, voting state law. Giving the reason.
Okay, I'm gonna repeat what you're saying, because I think he's recording it. But there is a Facebook page called Unbiased Bowie, Texas Citizens. And Ann Smith is doing a really good job of putting all the propositions out there and educating people as to why the new amendments are taking place, why they were proposed. I have tried to share some facts as to why they are proposed. It kind of goes on deaf ears sometimes. But she is doing a very good job. But she is one who came to City Hall and sat down with me for about 2 hours for me to explain to her what's going on. It's not that difficult. We're not trying, and let me make this very clear. The city of Bowie does not have the right, is not authorized to annex anything. I know that's been a huge topic in the last 2 days. We are not changing the law to allow us to annex anything. We certainly could not go out to the lake even if we wanted to annex something. State law trumps our right, our authority to do any annexation without a voter approval. Any other questions? Well, come on, make this fun. I'd like to also, since we're on it, I'd like to talk about some of the things that, some of the conversation that we're having about the Richwood Hills Estate Park. I mean, it was brought to the council to ask them if they would consider putting it on the ballot to see if the citizens wanted to keep the park or if there was a possibility that it could be sold. It will be up to the citizens of the city of Bowie, because they're the taxpayers, to determine whether or not that piece of property should be sold. It doesn't mean it has to be sold. It just gives the city the right to do something with the property. Unlike now, which it's maintained once or twice a year, it was unknown to most of the citizens until it was brought to the city council. So all the prop does is give the city the option to dispose of the property, not necessarily it's not making it mandatory.
I have a question on that point. Mr. Richardson has said, well, can we put a time limit on that?
David Richardson, he asked that we should put a fuse, is what he called it. If the city voters decided that yes, we could dispose of the park. He asked that there be a fuse on it. Actually, I think he asked either way, so that it would not be sprung on them again in the future, or if it did vote yes, it wouldn't sit on the side table for 4 or 5 years and then another council decide what to do with it. That doesn't make any sense to me, because once the city votes, then that's really all that we need is the permission from the city. That's not to say that I want to up and sell it. I was hoping that the community out there that wants to enjoy that piece of property would organize themselves and take over the property. But they don't seem to want that either. They've offered that maybe the county should buy it for them.
What about leasing that piece of property? Together a park association?
Well, that was my goal, that they would do that they would put together a neighborhood association, maybe like a property owners association, $10 a year, at least from the city, and they do whatever that they want with it. Either turn it into a private area for that community, or open it up to I think Mr. Mays wants it opened up to everyone. But that was my goal, that somebody would take it on that really wanted to do something with it. As mayor, my goal is to see what's best for the taxpayers of the city of Bowie. It's not that it's necessarily costing the city a lot of money to have or maintain that park. It's just not one of our priorities. But it is a priority to somebody. It's just not one of our priorities. So if it's not, let's do something and turn it over to somebody that does want to take more time, energy, and money than we're giving it.
I have a question. Why, if we are out of compliance, do we even have to go to the vote to be fixed? That makes no sense.
So you're updating your charter
Right.
to be compliant with state law. Because we should have done this.
I understand,
So-
but if still we're out of compliance, why can't we just fix it through our council?
Because state law won't allow you to change a charter item without going to the ballot of the citizens.
Well, we go.
I agree with you. It would be easier if we could do it. And that's why you find that your charter is this thick, but your ordinance is this thick. Because with your charter, you have to go to your citizens, you have to go to a full city vote. But with your ordinance, you only have to go to your council. And another reason why I fought so hard to have the new fire department, police department charter item put in there, because I didn't want a future council to be able to say, let's defund the police, let's defund the fire department, because I don't think 6 people should make a decision over our safety in the city of Bowie. Yes, ma'am.
If the voters do vote it down, if the city can't sell it, can there still be an association made and release that to that association?
So our question is, if the voters decide to vote down the sale of the Richwood Hills Estates Park, that's a lot to say. If they vote it down, what then? That will require some investigation to find out whether or not we can lease it to a private entity, because outside of the city, it would be a private entity. So, I would like to say, I hope very much that an organization comes forward and wants to lease it, and that we're able to do that if it's voted down. Yes, ma'am.
Clear up what's going on with the Walnut Park.
Well, we fixed the drainage problem. She asked me,
That really needed to be done, by the way.
She asked me if I could clear up what's going on with the Kiwanis Park situation. First and foremost, we did not forever fix the drainage issue, but we have made a huge dent in the problem. Am I not right? We have made a huge dent in the problem. We did put a fence up around the water drainage area because we felt like it was dangerous for children to be around it. We are hoping, and we just came back from TML, and that was my sole goal at TML, was to research park equipment, just find out what we could put back in there. My goal is to bring to the city of Bowie some inclusive park equipment, and most of you will know that that means that I would like to be able to help the children that are in wheelchairs, otherwise needs aid for the equipment. But in order to do that, we have to bring everything up to today's safety codes and today's park compliance. It is going slower than we might have wanted it to go because we want to do it right. And we've had some organizations in town, some civic organizations that want to participate by donating money to the project. We will have to fund the rest of the project ourselves, although there may be some options out there for us to go for some park money because we are rehabilitating the entire park. So it's slow. It's like everything else with government. You have to follow the rules, and it takes time to prepare. A lot of the equipment, if not all of the equipment that came out, may not be allowed to go back in under the new compliances. But the park had been there for, I am told, 30, 40 years, because there's some people that are a lot older than me that said they played in it when they were little. Much older than that. So it had not been maintained to the best of anybody's ability. Ours, Kiwanis Park, and of course Kiwanis disbanded many years ago, so it came back to the city. It's just one of those things that was, put on the back burner and wasn't given a lot of attention until we took it down. But taking it down was absolutely the only option we had when it came to saving Nelson Street because of the flooding in that area and getting the drainage repaired to the best of our ability, will last us a while until we can come up with the funds to do everything that it needs.
Can you explain how long that project's been going on? Not like it just happened yesterday.
I became mayor in November of 2017, and the very next day was the first conversation I had with Stoney about the park. I can say that very factually because he was the first person to take me out to show me things around the city. So 2017 is how long we've been working on that. Unfortunately, in 2015, when the street, Nelson and Lamb Street, were damaged because of the 2015 flood, previous administration decided to refuse the funds to repair it, and the bids to repair that area of town done the way they wanted to do it, upwards of $2 million. So what repairs have been done out of the city coffers. So it's been going on for a while. What else? Y'all want to listen to me, or do you want to listen to Melissa? You gotta listen to me for a few more minutes because she still has food on her plate. Plus she disappeared.
Well, why don't we just go ahead and hit on all the topics that we know everybody's going to
Right on
talk
out
about?
there.
Well, let's go electricity. The first reason you and I even met. So let's talk about electricity.
So in 2019, we were able to reduce the electric rates to mostly to the residential customers. It's very important to me to reduce rates to residential customers. And it's not popular, but businesses can raise their prices if they need to come with their expenses. So I encouraged and I fought for most of the rate increase to go to the residential customers, which at that time was 25% to the residential customer. It wasn't negative, it wasn't positive, it was the decision that the council decided to go with. We hope to see some rate reductions in the future, and I think we might have been a lot more positive about that before last November's elections. We may not be so positive about those possible rate decreases now, with a little bit of price hikes on everything that's going on. But our rate provider, our electric provider is getting in the solar business, and that will eventually come down to us. So we don't see any rate increases in the near future.
Okay, what about, I call it Snowmageddon. We were seeing cities and citizens of other towns and cities all around us getting $1,500, $1,800 utility bills during this past winter freeze. We in Bowie didn't see that. Why not?
No, you didn't see the rate increase like a lot of the other companies did. Unfortunately, a lot of the independent wholesalers that were selling electricity to people outside the city of Bowie, they were hit with an extreme amount for their costs, so they passed it on to their customers. Our city, although we were hit with an electric bill, it's about $1.2 million over our normal electric for the month of February for that year, any year. In fact, it was about 1/5 of our entire budget for electricity. We did not pass it on to our customers. It was very important to me not to pass that on to our customers because it was not their fault. And I know a lot of things are not our fault when it comes to weather or tragedies or incidents that happen around us, but this one we could have some control over. I will tell you that because of our management, I give lots of props to our city manager because of the way he manages the city, but because of the way it's managed, because of the health of our city, we were able to pay that bill and not pass it on to our customers. We were one of the few cities that was able to do that. Cities much larger than ours did not absorb the cost. Cities smaller than ours could not absorb the cost. So we were sitting in a very good place when that happened. Yes, ma'am.
So, what exactly does the mayor do?
Well, all I really do is pose for pictures.
Bowie's cheerleader.